Okay, hello and welcome to another video, okay, with me, Wushu Richard, or Richard Clark. In this video, I'm going to be swearing in this video, I'm going to be speaking my mind. I know it's not necessary to be big mouth, swearing and being full of attitude. Everybody, you should know me by now, I'm a humble person, very easygoing and all the rest of it. But I do speak my mind, and, I do have strong feelings about things, especially when it comes to martial arts, because martial arts is such a true force for life, not just in the philosophy, in all of it, the philosophy, the health benefits, and the self-defensive, protective fighting skills that are so incredible and amazing. In traditional martial arts, I'm talking, be it the kung fu systems, the karate, all the old school stuff. These styles are so real, yes, real and effective, effective, that anyone of any build can use the skills and benefit from them and be able to have some ability of self-defense, as well as keeping healthy and fit and all that, and all that. Now, the thing I'm going to talk about here, is that there's video, every time I go online, and I rarely do this now online, I rarely go online to actually look for martial art videos, because, I don't know, I just do my own training, But before, I used to always look for a lot of kung fu, videos and stuff like that, because it's still inspiration. And occasionally I will do, because it's still, nice to see. Like, nowadays, whenever I look for anything related to kung fu or traditional martial arts online, like videos of people training, whether they're tutorials or whether they are people training, demonstrating stuff, or just training, filming their training, or if movies, whenever I look for traditional martial arts stuff, I just want to see what's out there, because in this state of what we're in now, as the years go by, it's getting less and less, popular and less known, or seemingly. For one thing, notably, there's a lot less martial arts movies than there used to be back in the 70s and 80s, and early 90s, But not only that, it's like, there's more focus on things like MMA and stuff like that. It's nice to see when I can look online and see if there's any videos of anyone actually still promoting traditional martial arts, whatever level, okay, be them really good level martial artists or people that just have some ability but they want to keep it alive, because the state of the traditional martial arts world, so to speak, right now is like in decay, is in shit, okay, it's in absolute crap. Seemingly, compared to what it used to be, the golden era, the golden, thriving times of the traditional martial arts, years gone by. Now, I do this over and over again. Before I get onto this rant, if you want to call it that, or this talk, okay, from me and my silly perspective, whatever people want to see it as, right? Listen, let me just remind you, I want to say this again, right? I'm not the biggest, toughest person here. I'm not the best fighter. I'd probably get my ass handed to me. I probably would get knocked out on a lot of street fights if some tough thug came up to me trying to knock me out. I'm not the toughest fighter and all the rest of it. I know I can defend myself, but it's like I wouldn't always come out on top. You know what I mean? I'm not even the toughest guy. It would depend on the situation and who I was up against. Be they skilled in a martial arts like combative system or not. Just like someone really tough, you get some of these tough guys out there. That's not the point. Let me reiterate. Okay, martial arts skills doesn't mean you're invincible or just can never get harmed. It's like the best goalkeepers in football or basketball, whatever sports players, they're always going to have a chance that they're going to mess up, and it could be a very big chance. It's not always a certain that you're going to do your best every single time, right? To stop a ball from going into a goal net, or from a fist to your face. whatever it is, you're not always going to have that best reaction and skill. But let me just sort of reiterate that, right? So it doesn't mean to say you're Superman, but martial arts is a skill and a power. And I want to say, okay, I never promote myself. I never say that I know so much and I'm such a tough guy. No way, not at all. I'm quite a quiet person too, and I get quite nervous if someone was coming up to me shouting and giving me crap. You might call me an absolute pussy boy, and I'd be so cowardly. I'll be like backing off. No. I wouldn't get into an argument or anything, But I know what the fuck I know, and I know what works. Now let me get into the point. Now let me get into this video. Now we're going to start this talk, right? Because it's not just big talk either. I've spent a lifetime, since I was 12, in terms of physical training, actual martial arts. I mean, since I was 12 years old. That's years back, okay? I was born in 1982. Do the math, right? Now, I've been training martial arts all these years. Now, you may turn around and say, well, it depends how you train, Richard. Fair enough, clever clogs, if anyone says that. And you may turn around and say, well, yeah, and how many fights have you been in? Real fights, Richard? Yeah, fair enough. I may have been in one or two, not too many fights. A couple of situations where I've had to use martial arts to defend myself too. But nothing to really brag about. And I haven't been in a lot of big fights or really, I haven't actually had that much fighting situations where I've had to use it as such. And you'll bring up all kinds of things, and you'll probably say things like, people may bring things up like, it depends how you train, Richard. Maybe me, Richard, maybe I've trained martial arts for so many years, but a lot of movement's okay. A lot of belief in a lot of fancy styles, whatever it is, kung fu, this or that. A lot of philosophies, a lot of technical movements, and some kind of working out, maybe. Skinny guys, not a lot of muscle on the guy compared to the next door's bodybuilder, whatever you want to say. You might say, you won't feel exactly my fitness in me. And you might say, well, okay then, fair enough, Richard, okay. You've been working out for quite a few years, doing some stuff. You're not the toughest guy, though. And you do these forms and these patterns and these pretty kung fu moves and everything, which you're limited to in that knowledge too. Now, are you going to say to me, Richard, that you're the toughest fighter? That's what... As I say, my name is Richard, as I say, Wushu Richard, Richard Clark. And someone might turn around and say that to me. They might say, well, you've been training for all those years since you were 12 years of age. And for your whole life training so hard, but you've not actually been getting in fights and that all the time. You've not actually trained real deal fighting, have you? Well, I've talked about my background already in training martial arts, from karate to kickboxing, sparring and stuff. All the experiences I have had with sparring and with kung fu, different kung fu systems, blocking and trapping, and different kinds of sparring, as well as drills and stuff. Now, what I'm going to say to you is this, okay, from all of the training, the formal training, the other training, all the training I've done in my life in martial arts, by myself and then with people, I know what I know. I know what I know. And I've studied traditional martial arts, not boasting about me and my ability. But what I'm going to say to you is this, okay? Whenever I go online, whenever I go on the internet, or whenever I come across martial arts videos or martial arts kind of content on YouTube, let's say, mainly YouTube, you'll get comments. You look in the comments section and you know what you're going to find. It's not always going to be nice stuff. Most of the time, in fact, it's negative stuff. It's from people that don't know anything about traditional martial arts. And they'll say things like, it doesn't work. Traditional martial art doesn't work. The skills don't work. It's all fake. It's all nonsense. And they'll even bring up their own experiences. Some people do have some experience training in traditional martial arts, but they've obviously not trained it proper. But they'll still come up with all this bullshit, or they'll be steering towards, their interests will steer towards things like MMA, or just practical, like real fighting. They think that, because a lot of people believe that traditional martial arts are impractical and they're not useful and they're just fancy. They believe people live in a daydream who believe in traditional martial arts. They believe people that it used to be a thing of the past. Back in the past, it used to be a thing. Nowadays, people are more smart. They know what it's all about. They're not dumb, and they believe that traditional martial arts is not to be taken seriously. They think it's just like a dance, a kind of exercise. It's not realistic. It's a kind of closed-minded way of being, and they think traditional martial arts is not real. And they believe that traditional martial arts, no matter how much you try to make it sound good, it's just Bullshido. As in this term that people have come up with, Bullshido, like it doesn't work. And then what they do is they show videos. There's like actual whole channels on YouTube dedicated to showing fights and stuff and showing how traditional martial arts don't work and stuff like that. There's even a Chinese guy called Xu Xiaodong. I think his name is Xu Xiaodong. He's famous. He's trying to promote MMA. He's an MMA fighter, and he's been trying to prove a lot of Chinese experts of kung fu systems, whoever they be. But he just tries to prove to them that their style was basically a load of bullshit or not real. It seems like. And how he's about real fighting, and he is. I would say he's had that Western or worldly attitude rubbed off on him when he's been influenced by MMA and stuff like that. He's a tough guy who likes fighting. Bad attitude, but it's not to say that all MMA practitioners, let's say, I don't know about the UFC, but depends, but let's say MMA practitioners in general, it's not to say that all MMA practitioners have a bad attitude and don't understand any morality, whereas, traditionally in the traditional martial arts, like Kung Fu and stuff like that, and karate and Kung Fu, usually you'd have the humble side, the philosophy and the good for life and all that, nature and peace and Mr. Miyagi kind of thing, the love of life and just peace, and it doesn't matter who you are, and things like that, nice, good philosophy, morality, and that. But it doesn't mean to say that no MMA practitioners have that. But sometimes you get the pig ignorance, the ego, what comes from just fighting and competition, which is what a lot of MMA is about. But the thing is, with MMA, is focusing just mainly on the fighting anyway. So when the argument is not only though that MMA focuses on just fighting, that's why it's bad. I'm not, because I don't like MMA anyway. I don't like MMA for the most part. But it's not only the point though. Okay, not to say it's not good or anything, but I just don't like MMA. Okay, but I'm just saying. But MMA, the guys always say that traditional martial arts don't work for the fighting part, when traditional martial arts was actually made for serious combat and killing in certain instances in the history. It was in deadly. The traditional martial arts are real, but in this modern day and age, you've got MMA fans and then just people in general, just everybody believing that it was a load of bullshit. It was a load of silly nonsense. We went from the West, back in the day, didn't know anything about traditional martial arts. We believed it was a load of old nonsense and mumbo jumbo. We had our closed minds, a lot of people. Then it was introduced to the West. People still weren't really knowing much about it, but Bruce Lee came along and started kicking people's asses and doing something. People were blown away by the way he moved. And a lot of the stuff he was doing was still traditional martial arts, but he just expanded upon that and made his own thing and just was being more of an MMA kind of guy of the time when he created his JKD, Jeet Kune Do, which is a mixed kind of style. Some people call Bruce Lee the founder of traditional of MMA, which I don't like the term, but anyway. Other martial artists started getting involved, and they started hearing this. People started to know more about these arts. Okay, there's a thing called Kung Fu, come from China. You got karate from Japan or Okinawa and stuff. And you had different kinds of arts coming out. People started getting into Muay Thai, like Thai boxing too. It was very interested in, taken in by the Oriental arts and the East, and they saw there was some real good fitness and real good fighters from there. And they started to actually learn. And back in the 70s, 80s, that sort of time, not only were there lots of movies, because it was very popular at the time, and stylized movies, yes, but also, which also helped to get people inspired, obviously. But I wouldn't say bring people into the bullshit, into the dream of it. That's what some people would say nowadays. But no, they was inspired and they were brought in by the philosophy. and they were brought in by the physical training and stuff, you know. But there were some good class martial arts, not only bullshit. There were a lot of places which just cowboys, where they just try and took people's money. That's what the same in the West as well. And a lot of people, a lot of Chinese or Eastern or Japanese, different teachers would go to the West and realize they could make some money from teaching martial arts. And some people might not have been that good, but they could fool the Westerners, so to speak. But because everybody believed, they were lucky enough to find their own Bruce Lee instructor type of, you know, someone from the East to teach martial arts to me. But for me, I was always looking for truth and real stuff, and I believe a lot of people were. It's quite a mockery to put people down and say people weren't looking for the real deal, or people were always dumb. We're just talking 10, 20, 30 years back at the end of the day, right? You know what I mean? Literally 20 something years, like 20 to 20 something years back. You're trying to say everybody was dumb back then, you know, or 20 to 30 years back. No. Look, there was a lot of foolery too and things. There's fools going in to learn shit, and there was people trying to con people too. But there was so many good schools and people that trained and they could kick ass. There was real good martial arts combative schools, and the knowledge was around and it was popular. There were people going to all kinds of schools, be it ninjutsu, you know, aikido, hapkido, whatever, judo, all kinds of schools at the time. You know, and of course things like boxing, kickboxing, wrestling, taekwondo, of course karate, and then kung fu schools. Wing Chun was quite popular at the time as well. It started to take on. You know, but I'm just saying, right, people were more open-minded and more open-minded basically, and more able to go into these arts, study them, and train them with people that were passionate. I'm not saying the bullshit, the gullible people, even just those people. I'm saying people that were right mind. And also the same with certain teachers. The teachers back of the day, there were teachers not only cowboy, I mean, just total, you know, fake. If you want to, I don't like to use that word fake because I believe this. What is a fake? You've got people at different levels. Okay, it's not about what you boast as, but it's about what you can do and what ability you have. So there were people though, let's say, who are just fooling people around basically for their money, whether they were really good or not, but they were fooling people for the money and didn't give a fuck. And they put a bad name on, a bad face on traditional martial arts too. But I'm saying the teachers who really had good skill, the people that had basically trained for years in the martial arts prior to that, let's say in the 70s and stuff, and 80s, and there were people that are coming out to teach martial arts, be it in their own countries or in the West, who'd been prior training in their own countries. No, people from the East or the Orient who were training really well, who had really good skill, and they were good fighters. I'm not trying to compare someone with Bruce Lee or whatever we think we know in the West. Oh, Bruce Lee. No, or whoever. But they were training these arts that had been around for years, and they had trained with their teachers prior, who were older, don't forget. So they had some kind of knowledge in combative skilled arts. Back in the day, going to a martial arts school, you know, if you were someone in China or Japan, this is from my point of view, think about it. If I'm imagining, if I was someone in China years ago, or in the East, in the Orient, or Japan, or wherever, going to a martial arts school was just part of the life, part of the way of life. It was one of the things that you do. Okay, you go and learn fighting. And do you think to say you're going to insult the whole long history of a country like that? To say, yeah, they was all fooling around for all those years back in the war times with the bladed weapons swinging around and fucking war and everything. You tell me that for years, this tradition which spanned the whole vast fucking country like China or different parts of the world, and this a load of old bullshit. People, all of them were just under the spell of bullshit, even at times of war. Nobody questioned real fighting and all this. Are you literally out of your mind to think that it was all just crap, made up shit? Now, come on. It was like, as I say, people nowadays, same thing, like, you know, whatever. Or it was like, you know, just joining the army or something. It was like literally, you go in for that and you do that. And that was a real thing. Years later, you get, all kinds of things happening in the world nowadays, man. It's funny that you get new technology coming out and people look at the old stuff and say that was useless. No. Or let's say, see, because MMA and things like this to me are not in advancements at all. But let's just say, for example, you look at this stuff like BJJ. Did you hear me correctly? BJJ, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which actually comes from Jiu-Jitsu, the original Japanese one of the Jitsu, the ways, of an art. You've got Kenjitsu, which is Kendo, the weight of the sword, all different kind of things, Bujitsu, Ninjitsu, okay. But anyway, Jiu-Jitsu, right? Ninjitsu, you got Jiu-Jitsu, which was a Japanese thing, but then you got then you've got the Brazilian one, and the Gracie family who made that famous and things like that. I don't even know much about it. Right? I'm not into Jiu-Jitsu or ground fighting or any of that stuff, or wrestling and all this. But going back to what I'm saying, okay, but saying that, right, the stuff does work, right? It works. You got people doing MMA nowadays, mixing up a bit of this, a bit of that, Muay Thai, kickboxing or whatever, Jiu-Jitsu, whatever, wrestling. And they're doing this stuff. And does it work? Yeah. And some of these people are athletes. They're pretty strong. I'll say that, as athletes. And they're able to throw a punch and a kick, and they're able to do a restraint on the floor, sweating and grunting with blood and sweat over them. You usually see that, don't you? Do you rarely see that? No, you often see that. They're grunting and fucking sweat, holding on the floor. In traditional martial arts, we say don't waste your energy. It's about technique, Not to say you don't have any power in there or skill, but it's like, working out, you work out. But who you see it with blood and sweat and fucking injuries and stuff, my God, man. You're going to say that's professional fighting? Professional would mean another thing and another level. If you're talking at a higher level and like a true kung fu and that, you're getting your ass beat. Right? You got boxers leaving fights with brain damage year after year, going into competition with ego year after year. Boxing's good and stuff, but they get their fucking head pounding. They end up with like brain damage. Can't even speak over years that pass. Like, hang on, you got Muay Thai. You might say some people are doing it from poverty. They're fighting their way out of poverty. Young kids going into Muay Thai. In Thailand, you got different things where people go into Thai fights and they crack each other's skulls like Tony Jaa on back style almost, But I'm talking about real fucking Thai boxing, Muay Thai, where they're cracking skulls with elbows and knees. That's just brutal, right? But I'm just talking about you got big competition after competition, boxers with broken eyes and smashed up faces. Whatever it is, I don't care what kind of martial art, even karate, even like Kyokushin karate, where they go brutal on their fighting and kumite fighting and stuff. You can talk about any martial art. I mean, there's always like the brutal stuff and like the competition stuff, fair enough. But I'm just saying, right, let's talk about that real fighting. So what I'm trying to say is, I've just confused myself now. I'm just saying, right, but do the skills work? Yeah, they work, right? It depends how you use it. It's not about if something works or not. It depends how you use it and your reaction at that time. You may have a gun that works really well, and if you aim it right and shoot, you're going to get a good target, right? A good shot. But it depends if the target you're firing for is running and you ducks under things, you can't get that shot. Like, nothing's perfect. The gun and the bullet that fires from the gun is only as super efficient as it is if that target is at the end of that one line in an ocean of infinity almost around us, that could be anywhere else, but it's got to be at that point where you shoot on that target. Have you ever tried, throwing darts or playing pool or things like that? You know what I mean, or golf or whatever. I haven't tried it. I've played pool, but it's like if you're off the angle a bit, that's it. So, and you've got timing and all kinds of elements that come into play. Now, when you talk about jiu-jitsu and ground fighting and all that stuff, yeah, it works. It fucking works. And fighting in general, like MMA fighters, they're good. Years down the line, you may be an expert of MMA right now. Maybe you have some good experience. It's the real deal. You're the kind of person that says, fuck Kung Fu, that don't work. And look, Richard, I know what you're trying to say, but bullshit's bullshit, man. Bullshido and Kung Fu really doesn't work, and karate, and you probably stick by your word as well on that. I understand where you're coming from too, because certain things are black and white like that. But I'm just saying, this is where you're wrong about this traditional martial arts being bullshit and not workable or not fucking super effective. You just don't know, have a clue. Yeah, you may be really good, you may be brilliant, you may be very good, you may have good skill in MMA now or experience. A few years from now, let's say 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now, you look at the new things that's around. Maybe there's going to be some new kind of ways of fighting and things, and people are going to turn around. I can't imagine what that'll be like. And they may turn around and they're going to tell you maybe that, oh man, back in the day we were so narrow-minded. Back in the day we used to believe in things like MMA. Huh, that doesn't work. You want to do this or that. They would be wrong too. Because it's not about time and the generations. Those movements fucking work. The skills work, right? So what I'm trying to say is, I'm not trying to tell you that fancy kung fu moves and fancy showy moves always work, and we can make them work. Like you hear people talking like that. I'm not full of bullshit. I'm not full of bullshit. I'll make another video about certain things, covering this again a little bit more, I think, in detail. But a bit more. That's what I'm trying to say. That the thing I want to say is, traditional martial arts works. You got no fucking idea. Not works. It is the fucking best. It's like traditional martial art. There's so many martial arts. You are not only rejecting a load of knowledge from different styles. You're rejecting a load of very, very effective knowledge there and skills. Very effective. It's like you've got a spear and you say, oh, that gun looks fancy, but it's not going to work. You've got to load it. You need to buy the bullets and all kind of things. You're just trying to make it. Or you see how the cowboys pointing the guns on the movie. It's so cool, and they shoot everybody. Oh, that's fancy, man. That's not going to work in real life. All you need is a spear. Straight to the point. Effective combat. Stick it in. You know what I mean? And then you got this gun, that gun, all the kind of things you can imagine. Rambo knives, grenades, fucking spray, goddamn smoke bombs or whatever. Let's say if you're a soldier, let's say, for example, okay, a flamethrower, a laser beam, a net to trap people, spikes that you put on the floor to trap, what do you call it, those stingers that the police leave for cars. So many different things. And you just put it all away. It's like you take one little book from the library and you say, and you reject all the others, and you don't know enough about them, but you've just seen a few things, and now something in your head is making you believe that all of those books are useless. This knowledge, I don't need to learn about that. That's a load of old bullshit. And you believe in that crap over there, I'm not going to read up about that crap. Who's going to pay in their right mind? They used to make movies about that. All these fancy people dancing around with shades on and music and that. I don't want to know how to do this. I don't need to learn that language. Or blah, 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 blah. You connect things with ideas that are just not even real. And you look on YouTube and you look at these videos of fights where traditional martial artists like kung fu or karate, let's say, fighters, let's say kung fu and aikido and things like that, traditional arts, and tai chi, whatever. You see them getting their arse beaten up, and they've been, knocked out by MMA fighters like that, like nothing. And you say, look, there's enough out there. It's not just one or two. It's a lot of videos out there. You know why there's a lot of videos out there like that? Because people are not training well enough. Those people that have gone into those fights are, you could say coincidence, but I don't know. But it's like those people are just not the real deal. And the idea is not even the fact that which one's better or what's better. The thing is, that's what happened at that time. But these arts are useful. Those people that got in the ring and fought each other, that was just what happened there. But you to reject traditional martial arts and say it doesn't work and you can't make any skills work and that, or that it is not an absolutely super effective, very amazingly efficient thing, is totally wrong. For you to think that it's lower than MMA. And it's a load of fancy bullshit movements and it's not real. That is absolutely wrong. It's absolutely so wrong. Because I'll tell you why in a moment. If you've got the patience and sat through this video, I'll tell you fucking why before we finish this video, right? In fact, there's no difference because when you do MMA, if someone's going to grab you and hit you, you'll do a certain move and take them down. It's how you move your body, for fuck's sake. So I can strike and do a block or any kind of technique I fucking want in Kung Fu, and if I can make it well, I'll make it work. I'll fucking make it work. That's the end of the day, is what I'm trying to say to you. What's the difference if you're doing karate or Muay Thai? You'll probably say, oh, the karate guy's fancy. The Muay Thai will knock you out. No. It's how you work on the situation, how you move and how you intercept and how you fight. Damn, moving your body. If you dance around and make fancy movements and say, oh, Kung Fu, whatever, in front of the guy, of course you might get your fucking ass beat. Or if you try to do some technically, fancy move and that's what you think is all Kung Fu entails and karate, in front of someone, you're going to get your ass beat. So then you're going to say, okay, Richard, okay, so you get that, do you, Richard? Okay, then. Maybe you will say to me, okay, Richard, well, what do you mean then? So in a real fight, you're not going to do those fancy stuff, no, like Kung Fu and stuff. That means you're going to go and resort to simple combat fighting, right? Like boxing and efficient stuff, like MMA kind of tactics going in, boxing and that, right? That's where you fucking wrong again. I'll be using Kung Fu, but you don't see how it's used. And you just see people on YouTube, you watch these videos on YouTube with people trying to do Kung Fu and karate, whether they've got skill practicing certain forms and stuff, fair enough, they may do fancy moves, and they get their ass beat by MMA people because they're not fighting properly and they've not trained to fight properly and they've not trained basically the real deal elements of what those martial arts are about. They're just doing an outer shell. Whether you blame it for their teachers having for them having bad teachers, or for them being not good in themselves, or whatever, for whatever reason in the training and not questioning it or thinking. You get people that question the arts and they think that they're great. They didn't question their own level, or they just question the arts and then they leave the art and they go to something like MMA. If they would have stuck to the art and had good teachers or trained well and studied the knowledge and really thoroughly studied the life of traditional martial arts and went to different schools and learned, you'd learn there's so much more to learn. And you'd be a really good fighter in terms of fighting. But martial arts enhances you in such a level, such a way, compared to just learning that low level bit of MMA. And I'm not trying to say now traditional martial arts is better than MMA, because I always say that. But now it's like, it just is, you got that fucking so much there, but they reject having 10 bags of gold because they don't believe it's gold. They believe it's just bars of chocolate wrapped in gold paper. They reject that 10 bags of gold and they just go for a £10 note or a $10 note, whatever it is, and they just fucking go for the MMA. It's effective, it works now. So wrong. They believe the outer packaging, the advertisement, and the bullshit that's shown on fucking YouTube, and the fact that there's such limited traditional martial arts knowledge going around now anyway, and the fact that you've got people posting videos trying to put it down anyway and make a mockery of it anyway, and it's all fun and this and that. And today's modern day and age, people are on their phones, even in China and Japan or wherever, people just on their phones, young people, they're not trying to train traditional martial arts. So when you see the warriors, it's like one of them things, like what's popular now? If Taekwondo in some places, but in some places, like what's the most popular thing? MMA, so people want to do that. A lot of people like football, so they'll do that. So it's like, what's the in thing? Anyway, so it's not about the true, but we're talking like decades in the history, okay? I'm not saying things don't advance and people don't get knowledge, but as they go along and develop training and fighting arts and whatever, yeah. But going back in history, there was an ancient history and years of training in traditional martial arts, and people don't have a fucking clue. And people all around the West and Europe and wherever in the world talking about they think they know it, what it is. Even people in their own countries like China, Japan, or where these arts came from, you're still going to have people that put that down and say, oh, it doesn't work, it's what it is. And I have looked into it, but you don't know, man, it just doesn't work. And that is just so ignorant. They don't know. You just do not absolutely know. It's like someone who has no experience in football, just sitting there, some caveman who's never had experience in professional football, just sitting there, and he's watching the people kick the ball around, and he's like, ha 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 ha, he got a stupid goofy laugh, ha 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 ha. because he doesn't understand it, or some like little child laughing, little child watching professional footballers kick the ball around, and how one player dribbles the ball and gets it from the other side and goes in with the skill. It's like, ha, 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 that's not going to work like that. It's just movies and fancy stuff. And now you see how that other guy came and kicked the ball from him, or see how a gust of wind came and blew his fucking t-shirt off or whatever. You see, I saw it on YouTube. You know, 10 videos about it because someone's collectively done that. And who the fuck are they filmed up? You may have seen 10 videos of people losing fights to kung fu. Have you literally sat there, watched 10 videos, or more of traditional martial artists losing fights to MMA people or thugs or whatever? You may have seen 20 or more, but if you've seen thousands, we're talking thousands, hundreds and thousands of years of training, you don't have a fucking clue. And where have these people trained? And what skill is it? And what mindset have they got to be going into these fights? And what were they doing when you saw these kung fu people? Were they going in with a fairly colourful suit on, probably some kind of fancy dress suit, and doing movements? So as soon as you see them doing all that, you know they're not a real fucking kung fu artist. A true kung fu martial artist will know all those forms, but they'll know how to use them, and they won't give any bullshit. It's not about bullshit. Traditional martial arts is not about bullshit. The forms are for focus and control of your moves, and the way you apply it is different. So there's things you can do like to kind of distract the opponent and stuff with certain movements. But believe me, they know what you're dealing with. You've got like MMA fighters and people that are skilled. Traditional martial arts works. That's all I'm fucking saying. What I'm going to say to you now, okay, is this. I know. Because I've used certain things anyway in different situations, I'll say that, and in training. Fair enough, training is training, but I'm just saying, right, I know when something's coming at me randomly, I'm going to cover. Whether I do like MMA or I'm going to cover using a kung fu technique. If something comes at me, I'm going to stop it with my hand, and I'm going to punch. If someone's going to hit me in the head, I'm going to move and block, or whatever kind of kung fu, karate, whatever it's going to be. I'm going to make it work. I'm going to strike. I'm going to block and strike. I know what the fuck I'm going to do. When I'm moving with my legs, you can't tell me it don't work. When I move away and do that kick out, when I do that elbow, when I do that stance and work the technique and get you in a lock and work the technique. And you say, okay, Richard, big talk, Richard. Show me, do it now. It's not about show me, do it now. I'll show you on a few people. I could probably beat 5 people in a fight now, either one by one or all together. There's a chance in this world I could beat a group of people using kung fu, or an old lady could beat people with just her handbag and no. I'm just saying, right? There's a chance that I could get my ass beat by someone who's got a low level of MMA skill and no kung fu skill, because he could use the right techniques at the right time. But I'm just saying, it's not for me to prove to you or for someone to prove to you, or you sit there watching a fucking video. I remember a long time ago, one of my teachers, about reality we're talking about here as well. It's just the ignorance of the mind, human people, or something in the mind. One of my teachers, one person I learned with a long time ago, one of my teachers, he used to say, seeing is believing, but feeling is the truth. I'll say it again. Seeing is believing, but feeling is the truth. You've got to feel what the movements are. Feel what fucking works. You can talk about football all day, but if the ball's not coming at you and you're not reacting with that strike or that pass, playing sports, let's say, you're not doing anything. So I know what it's all about: reaction and movement and how you move it. Someone's going to punch me in the face. I'm not going to go, whoa, kung fu. I'm going to fucking block. But that's kung fu. You might go into boxing and cover like that. But if I'm going to stop the guy's arm and go in for whatever elbow chop, throw, take down, knee him in the nuts, kick, I'll fucking fight. But I can fucking move my kung fu. Believe me. I'm not saying I can beat anybody. I know what fucking works. This is a lifetime of training martial art, traditional martial arts. I know what fucking works. No motherfucker can tell me about kung fu don't work and all these stupid videos you see online. It's a pity traditional martial arts don't work. People living in a dream. They don't have a fucking clue. I see on a daily basis that someone's going to attack you. How are they going to attack you? Let's say just even bare hands. It might not be a knife or a gun, but let's just say someone's going to attack you. Who the fuck's going to attack you? Some big tough fat guy, or some muscly guy, or someone taller than you. Maybe someone thinner than you, someone smaller than you. All different races of the world, different nationalities. Some people have different builds in their body, male, female, or whatever the fuck. People of all different builds. Right? You don't know who you're going to get attacked by, of what age. So How can you say that if someone's hand is not in my face, I can't do a technique, raise his arm up, strike him there, someone's choking me, I can't take him, step back and go into a lock? If you're talking about some big, tough fighter guy who's an expert at MMA, and he has a reaction where I do this technique and he locks me up and gets me down, yeah, you're talking about two different skill levels, two different techniques used at different times in accordance to who gets the upper hand. You might have two professional football players with different styles or whatever, or one might be better at basketball, but they get together and one utilises a certain manoeuvre and gets the upper hand. It's not always the same way. You've got two professional boxers. It's not to say who was better, Mike Tyson or the other guy. Obviously, Mike Tyson, you say a lot of time, but you know what I'm trying to say? I'm just trying to say, like, how they move. You know, Frank Bruno, I don't know, Manny Pacquiao versus Floyd Mayweather or whatever. How, you going to say who's better? I don't think it's a case of that. It really isn't. It's just how you move in the ring and how you go in with that punch and intercept and do the moves. So when you're dealing with, you could have like an MMA guy lose to a movement. A Kung Fu guy beats the guy with a move, which is basically like an MMA move. Similar. It could be a kick to the gut or whatever. And then, you know what I'm trying to say? Or the MMA guy throws a punch to the Kung Fu guy's head and knocks him out. And then you'll say, yeah, the MMA guy is the winner. MMA is better than Kung Fu. Bullshit. A punch is a punch, a kick's a kick, as Bruce Lee said, right? A block's a block, but it depends. In Kung Fu, you've got solid, we've got different kind of ways of blocking. Different kinds of ways. So throwing, grappling, fighting, stand-up, punching, kicking, even ground fighting, which I don't like at all. True traditional martial artists of years gone by, which was about life and death on the battleground as well. You're talking about real, as real as it is for the police, like you see when they have to like know some hand-to-hand combat, right, for self-defensive, I mean for like to restrain criminals and stuff. Same thing. This is not a fucking life. This is not a joking matter. Messing around. Yeah, traditional martial arts is about real fucking survival. So you would be smart and wise to look into all ways of fighting and see it. And all ways of movement. Don't shun something. You look at some exotic art, let's say some tribal, cultural, tribal, native dance or something, and say, yeah, in the dancing movements we also have fighting principles because we used to protect the kings in the ancient days with our fiery lanterns, whatever the fuck it is, spears. And you'll be like, oh, that's got some exotic feel, silly, coming from the Western culture. Yeah, man, take a selfie, take a photo. Yeah, man, can I learn how you fight like that, man? Some muscly guy. Yeah, I used to do MMA and now I want to do this also. And they're like, they think that's okay because nobody's putting that down. But people want to put down like Kung Fu and Karate because that's the thing. Later on, they'll start putting that down. It's like, hang on a minute, you discriminative motherfucker. Ignorant punk bitch. Ignorance will fuck you up. Be dumb, be honest, right? Be real. Like, yeah, look, it's the same thing. If you see people fucking around, so people look and they look to things and they'll look at traditional martial arts and they'll see all these forms and katas and flows and they'll say all these fancy moves and they'll say that doesn't work. Because I saw a few videos on YouTube where some people get their ass beat, MMA. And this motherfucker, all this ignorant prick is, excuse my language, all these divs are they just sit at home, munching, eating some snacks, drinking a beer and smoking weed, chilling out. Oh, man, that's nothing, man. Yeah, man, yeah. He's like speaking, he's trying to make up his own accent. Yo, what's up? Yo, man, what's going on, homie? You don't know if he's white or black, or he's trying to pretend to be, or he's trying to put a Hispanic accent on, or whatever. He's got a tattoo with some funny language on. He doesn't even know what it says. Chains around his neck. Yeah, man, you should do MMA, man. Kung Fu, come on, man. What you gonna do, the crane, Danny boy? It's like the same as they used to make fun of fucking Karate Kid back in the day. You know what I mean? This is what they're doing back in this modern day and age caveman mentality where they think they know everything. They don't know what real martial arts is and they're living in this ignorant, brain-dead, mobile phone fucking obsessed society. This is fucking ridiculous. Martial arts is about opening your mind. Martial arts, traditional martial arts is about reality. And it's sort of as the thing, and it's also about life. And you've got some big tough guys who do MMA and they beat some ass and they go clubbing on the weekends and they drink and and they support fucking whatever the fuck, I don't know, confusion in political correctness and what's going on in the world in this day and age, and they still get offended when you say that word, man. You're gonna break my heart. Oh, muscle man. What the fuck are you talking about, you pussy? You get worked up about things like that? People like that, you know what I mean? About offensive language, you know, and they're drinking their beer, toxic shit for they go, and they're smoking weed, chilling out, but they go down the gym and pump muscles. And don't tell me that. You don't have a fucking clue, man. Health is what it's about, real health. Breathe the fucking oxygen of the air. Go out to the mountains, man. Go to nature. Cut that bullshit from your life. Stop living like a slave prostitute for the world, is my advice. Selling yourself. Talking like, you know what I mean, man. What's up, homie? Yeah. You know, it's like they don't even know where they fucking come from or what they're... Planet Earth, I'm saying. And they're trying to be something else. They're trying to impress everybody. Their ignorance, and that ignorance spills out into anything. So they have not got an actual knowledge or understanding about, that's the problem of the culture, about anything. So they look to something like fighting, which they like, fighting people, beating people up and this fucking shit, with their fucking words as well, trying it. They're so intimidated, but they're so intimidated, they feel like they're a fucking victim all the time. They don't have the peace and calmness and open-minded, clear view to see anything. And it's like, you know, traditional martial arts is real. And it's real effective in terms of fighting self-defense. If you learn the forms and you learn the training and you train with different teachers and things and train over the years, it's a lifelong journey, fair enough, years and years of training. But just in what I know my bit even. And I'm saying, if you do it, you can do whatever you want. You can run, you can skip rope, do swimming, fucking mountain climbing, jumping, running, even MMA as well, whatever, ride a bike, fucking climb cliffs, whatever the fuck you want to do, okay? You know what I mean? Build fucking wooden cottages in the forest, do whatever you want to do. But I'm just saying, right, cut that negative shit out of your life, the ignorance out of your life. And in terms of physical training, if you study the traditional martial arts and the forms, then use your goddamn noggin and think about how you'd use the techniques in a useful way and look at the applications. You would learn so many amazing fighting arts. And this is what the true traditional masters of the true ancient martial arts would do. We're not fucking around. I've not been watching just movies and telling you this, right? Movies are good in that, 70s and 80s and stuff. But I'm saying real martial arts masters, they studied it. They looked at that's what Bruce Lee did as well. But I'm saying that traditional martial arts masters of the ancient times, they studied. They wanted to be good. They didn't want to be bullshit. They had challenges left and right. Because back in the day, in the ancient days, people was also thinking, like, who the fuck are you? You think you're the best fighter, huh? Well, you don't know anything about mine. And they were doing the same sort of thing. Whereas, rather than being all in the same McDojo of MMA, the popularity thing now, rather than that, so it's like they were all an individual thing, and you had like one style versus the other, and someone would come up to someone back in the old days, and you'd have like a master or someone, and say, "Oh, you think you're the best? Do you try me on?" So everybody was like, They had to train. So the ones who did it, they either did it in secret and just kept out avoiding that competition anyway, because who are you going to compete with? There's always people that know more than you. It's not even worth it. But it's about having some skill. You're not going to be invincible, but it's about having some skill. It's like, and so they knew that it was going to be confronted or challenged. They knew that it could be put in danger, or their friends, family, students, or whatever it was. So they just trained the best they could, but they always studied what they were doing. They weren't just, some people were like, they just did the forms and that was it. But a lot of people, like the ones who really cared and wanted to be good, and the ones who wanted a name for themselves too, some of them, they really wanted to make sure they knew their fucking stuff and they could handle themselves. And they knew and they studied their flaws. We're talking about thousands of years of generations and students that studied with those teachers and family members. And a lot of studying has gone on, believe me, in fighting over the years in martial arts and techniques that have survived this long. And then it's just, technology is taking over people with brains becoming dumb like fucking robots nowadays. And people are not really knowing about it. But you just look at what you think is Kung Fu. You see someone doing some forms and you say, that's what it is. You're not going to do that in a fight. You're going to get your ass beat. Look at this guy on YouTube getting his ass beat. You have a clue. There's still philosophy and there's real skill in the techniques. If you learn Kung Fu and karate and traditional arts like that and study hard and look into the actual mechanics and the application and the subtleties and the changes you can do and look and train it. I mean, fucking train it with people properly when you're in sparring with someone or whatever. Don't just still stay in that one frame of mind, just boxing or MMA. Go in and work the techniques, and first of all, you start off a bit like robotic, drilling the moves, but then later on you start to work it naturally and get the reaction. The only way you're going to know is through feeling and making it work. So don't tell me it don't fucking work when you don't know shit. These people put in all these comments online talking about traditional martial arts don't work. You're talking a load of old shit because you don't fucking know that you can move your hand this way and that way. If you do it a certain way, you get yourself knocked out. If you do it a certain way, you can fucking... We're not fucking around, man, in traditional martial arts. Well, I know how to fucking flow. MMA is not the only thing. Bullshido doesn't exist. That's your goddamn Bullshido fucking intellect. That's what that is. Keep it real. About bad mouthing things you don't have a clue about. Or you can just go back to your beer and your weed and your jacking off. I don't know what you're doing in your life, in your spare time. But reality is reality. Okay, that's what I'm going to say to you. Alright, so traditional martial arts works, alright? For those of you who don't know, keep it real.